What's up, guys? Still Saturday. It's about 11:30 p.m. and I just finished building this inversion table. You can see it over here. I was just hanging on that for a couple minutes, stretched my back out, and you know what? I decided to, because leg day is tomorrow, I'm gonna get some food in tonight. I'm gonna do, what is this? I think like 270 extra grams of carbs, but I'll show you that right now before I make my final meal. Okay, so I picked up these two a little bit more simple carb sources to have for a refeed to get some extra carbs in, specifically just carbs. Both these combined are about 250 grams of carbs. That's really all I'm worried about. I'm not really worried about the protein or the minimal protein or fats in either of them. It's just to get some extra carbs in there so we can increase my performance tomorrow. But yeah, these are the things that I chose, and then I'm going to have my last meal of my day, which is steak and rice. Oh yeah. This one is my favorite. From Metro, vanilla and chocolate brownie, Irresistibles, frozen yogurt. It's good stuff. It's a little bit cheaper than like the novelty ice creams like Ben & Jerry's and whatnot, and it's pretty much just like straight up carbs. Digests well, and it tastes like ice cream. So it's a great option if you guys want to get some extra carbs in. If you're doing a refeed or if you follow flexible dieting, you know, if you wanted to have this as part of your carbs, if you have a higher amount of carbs, I wouldn't hate that as a coach. Not a big deal. I wouldn't typically put something like this in a diet or use it if you were doing flexible dieting if you're eating minimal carbs. But if you're somebody who's eating like over 200 grams of carbs, have this one, you know, for like 30, 40 carbs a day. Not a big deal, okay? What's up, guys? So it's Monday afternoon, and I just wanted to give you an update on how I'm feeling after I did that high carb day. So I did the 500 grams of carbs on Saturday night. It was. That's when I did the majority of the carbs. The next day, I was only up 1 pound, which is not a lot. So the carbs really didn't have that much of an effect. And then the next day, today, I'm back down below what I was. So I'm at about 258.8 or something, which is half a pound to a pound down from my lowest weight, which was Saturday before. So the carbs, they brought me up a little bit, and then I'm right back down, right? So I think something you guys will do you benefit to learn, when you actually get your body lean and you get to a point where your body is actually like functioning properly, when you add in carbs and high carb days, and even adding in carbs to your daily diet, it's like, I refer to it as, and all my clients will probably hear me say this, I refer to it as throwing fuel on the fire. Like what happens when you throw gas on a fire or some kind of fuel on a fire? It goes boom, right? So adding in these carbs is just letting me expend more energy because it's giving me more fuel to train harder. I'll probably, if I have a bunch of carbs, I'm probably going to move more through the day, so I'm going to burn more calories. So really, the carbs didn't do much. I feel a little bit better. Not really, still feeling a little bit depleted, but I'm going to push it another couple days and get another couple pounds off before I do another refeed. The next time I do a refeed, I'm going to do a lot more carbs. I'll probably do 750 to 1,000 grams of carbs to see how that feels, and we'll go from there. So in the first week's video, I talked about cardio, and I talked about doing 30 to 60 minutes in the morning, and that's what I was going to do moving forward. And I've changed my mind now, and I'm going to go with a different approach, something that I've wanted to implement for a while. Not a new thing in the science-based community. There's been a lot of people that have done this before, but this is the first time that I'm going to implement it strictly for myself. And that is, instead of doing a strict amount of cardio, like, okay, you have to do an hour of cardio a day or 60 minutes a day, what I'm going to do is have a certain amount of steps per day. For me, right now, is going to be 12,000 steps. So why I think that's more beneficial is because your step count is more a gauge of your general energy expenditure and your general activity throughout the day, right? So something that happens with a lot of clients, especially prep clients, is you increase the cardio, say from half an hour to an hour, you know, just say half an hour to an hour. Okay, that's great. So you've added an extra 30 minutes of cardio. So you're going to burn however many calories extra, okay? But what happens is, because you're making them do that extra cardio, what they do now is they go home and they lay on their back all day and they don't move all day. So yes, you've increased their cardio, so they are burning more calories during that cardio session, but because of that, they're now stagnant through the day, which means they're burning less calories in a total throughout the day. So it makes no sense. So steps, counting your steps, I think is the best way to do it, because it's monitoring and making sure that you are sticking to a certain amount of general activity per day, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, like how much you're moving around, being active throughout the day. So that's what I'm going to do. 12,000 steps for me. And when I want to create a bigger calorie deficit with energy expenditure, what I'm going to do is increase it by 1,000 steps at a time. So say I'm not getting leaner, I've hit a plateau, I don't want to take food away. What I want to do is do more energy expenditure. What I'm going to do is increase by 1,000 calories. That's how I'm going to do it. So if you guys want to set this up for yourself, what I would recommend doing is start tracking. I use a Fitbit, so this is a Fitbit Blaze. I've had it for a couple of years. Works great. What I recommend for you guys to do is start tracking your steps when maybe you're in the off season or you're in a period where you're not really like struggling with your diet and you're just doing your normal general activity, so you can get a handle on how many steps you do in a day when you're not really like restricting too hard or this or that. And then once you have that average number, that's what you're going to start with as your maintenance or your starting amount of general activity, and then maintain that through the prep. And then, you know, you can either do it in increments of 500 steps, 1,000 steps. Like I said, this is the first time I'm doing it personally, so I'm going to do increments of 1,000 steps at a time when I need to create a bigger deficit. Okay, guys, so try that out. I'm going to show you guys how this progresses as we go. So I usually go for like 1 or 2 walks a day anyway, not long walks, but typically what I'm going to do is just have a look down at my steps throughout the day. You know, if I'm really low on the steps, then I might go and do a half-hour cardio because I know I have to get a certain amount of steps in. And right now, say it's like 5:30, I'm at about 7,000 steps. So I know that if I just hang out at home, I'm probably not going to hit my steps for the day. So I'm going to go out and do a little bit of cardio, just walk around the block a couple times, get to about, you know, 10,000 steps, and then, you know, I'll accumulate the rest of those 2,000 steps throughout the rest of the period of the day. So that's what I'm going to do for my cardio, guys. I wanted to share that for you, share that with you. So that's something that you guys can try out, and I think that's a great way to make sure that you continually get leaner and you don't just lay around all day when you're dieting. What's up? It's Wednesday. It's time to train some upper body. We're going to head over to Dylan's place and get at it. It's about 5 p.m., a little bit later than we normally train, several hours later than we normally train, actually. I was up in North Toronto this morning picking out a new bike that I got because I destroyed my other bike because I took a tumble on it, a pretty good tumble, flipped over the front, and bent the front suspension. So I took it in to get fixed. They told me, listen, we can't fix this, you need new parts. It's pretty much just get a new bike kind of thing. So I was doing that this morning. I got a new bike, went out and did some cardio on the bike, came back, and now we're going to go over to Dylan's, do an upper body workout, and I'll show you guys that now.
Gave you too much, now I'm swallowed. Now I'm the fool while you're breaking rules. what you do, and it hurts as I bleed for you, cry for you. Let me bleed as I bleed for you, cry for you. Let me bleed. Let me all of the pain seems to follow like a shadow, dark and cold to the touch. Am I insane not to let go? Oh, go on, just do what you do, and it hurts as I bleed for you, cry for you. Let me bleed as I bleed for you, cry for you. Let me bleed. Let me bleed. Let me.
Hey guys, so I'm going to show you my skincare routine. This is my skincare for my face, obviously. It's a 3-step process. Very simple. This is the bare bones of it. I'm not a skincare expert. This is what I've learned through ex-girlfriends and YouTube videos, watching Steve Cook videos, you know, all the random stuff. But so it's a very simple process, and we're just going to go through the basics so that you guys, any of the guys watching, like if you're anything like I was, pretty much my whole life until maybe a year ago, I never really did anything for my skincare. I just had like decent skin with my face, wash it with water and good, and like people are probably like right now like, oh my god, like this guy is crazy. But yeah, so getting up there, like I'm turning 30 this year, and you know, some wrinkles coming in and whatnot, and being an influencer and somebody who does photo shoots and videos and production work all the time, wanting to get into acting, you need to start taking more care of my skin. So did a little bit of research, asked some women out there, and basically I got the basics of the skincare down. Okay, so step 1, we're gonna start with your cleanser, which is basically just like a face wash, just gets the oil and dirt off there, prepares everything for the process of the skincare treatment. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna wet the face a little bit right now first. So 1 pump, just there. And don't ask me where I got any of these products from or bought them from, because I got them from an ex-girlfriend. So yeah, when they run out, I'm just going to have to source my own, probably buy them on Amazon somewhere. Basic stuff. I don't think it really matters. I think what matters is that you're doing it and you're using a product instead of just water. So just rub a little on my hands and then rub it on my face. Nice and gentle. I think that's another thing about skincare too, and which guys are really bad about. We're really rough. So we're like, even when we wash our hair, we're like, you know, you can't be that rough. You gotta be gentle with the skin, right? So it's gonna go on everywhere. Rub it in circles with a little bit of water. The neck. Basically, this is just gonna foam up. Take off the surface level of any dirt and oil so we can get everything prepared to do the other steps. So a couple minutes, rub this in, let it go to work, and then we're gonna rinse everything off. Okay, now we're dry. Step 2, an exfoliation. So you should really, I hear you should really only do this maybe like twice a week, max. It's a little bit harder on your skin, and it's like this one is like a face peel in 2 steps. There's lots of different ones you can get. Just get something that's an exfoliator. And basically, this is a chemical product, so it chemically strips everything off the skin, probably takes some dead skin away. So we're just gonna go nice and gentle. And you can feel that there's chemicals in there because it just doesn't burn, but it's like you can feel that stuff is going to work in there, right? I think that's why you're not supposed to do it every day, because it can be a little bit tougher on the skin. So we're just gonna make sure we get all the spots, all the problem areas. Just a nice gentle rub down everywhere. That's what she said. Okay, I can barely touch my neck. Oh, and I just shaved before this so that I had less hair, so this wouldn't look ridiculous. So you know what happens when you shave and then you put some chemicals on there after it burns a little bit, so a little bit red. And like I said, this is the true basics. This is beginner level. This is where you get in the door. If you look at girl stuff, they got serums, they got essential oils, they got all kinds of stuff. They got like an 11-step process. This is a 3-step process, okay? Very simple for the man. So we're just gonna let this dry a little bit, you know, make sure my hair doesn't look stupid. The next step, the finishing step, 2-part step here, is gonna be your moisturizer. So we have a general skin face moisturizer. We're gonna put that on nice and delicately. And then we have an eye one. So the eye one is a little bit more gentle as it goes around here and the skin around your eyes, because that skin is a little bit thinner and more delicate. So sometimes I think these like general face moisturizers are a little bit harder, maybe a little bit thicker. You get the specific eye stuff and rub it right around here in the circles and all that jazz. So we're gonna do the general one first. So we don't want it too thick. What I like to do is like put it on my finger and I'll dab a little bit in each area, and then I'll go after and then rub it all in. Okay, so little dabs in all the major areas. Put a little bit on my fingers and then gently just rub everything in circular motions. So now we have our eye special around the eye moisturizer. I'm just gonna take a little bit of that. Let me put it all right here. I'm just gonna put some on, kind of like the way I did the face one. Just put a little bit here, a little bit here, and then close this up. And then I'm gonna rub this all around the eyes. Can't have these eye wrinkles. If you're trying to be in showbiz, you're gonna end up having to get Botox and all kinds of stuff. Okay. Wow. And there we have it. The 3-step process to look beautiful and ageless. And that's it. What's up, guys? It's Saturday evening now. This morning, I woke up, took my progress pics, did my weight. You know what? I didn't like the pics. It doesn't look like I made a lot of progress week to week, but that's okay, and I'm gonna explain to you why that is. But you know what, guys? It doesn't matter. Every check-in is not gonna be your best check-in ever. You don't get discouraged, you don't whatever. I looked at the pics and I was like, fuck, man, it doesn't look like much progress. But that is what it is. Sometimes it happens. There are specific reasons for things happening, but at the end of the day, you know what? You just have to get better. And this week is a chance to try some new things and just to get better for myself and make sure that I achieve a lot more fat loss. So when I look at the pictures next week, I'm like, okay, there we go. We're back on track. You know, when you first start dieting and you're going from an off-season setting to a contest prep and you're starting to lose fat, there's a period of time there, a couple of weeks, where you look worse. You honestly look worse. And the reason that is because you're getting very flat
but you're still fat. So flat is a term coaches and people in the industry use to describe physiques, and basically it means that you're depleted of muscle glycogen, so the muscle isn't very full, which is the opposite of flat, right? You're depleted of muscle glycogen, so the muscles are kind of shrunken down, right? So the issue with that is when that happens, when you're just going into a diet phase, you're still fat. So when you're flat and fat, you look horrible. You look even worse. You look like you got fatter. But, you know, if I had 1,000 grams of carbs and took pictures tomorrow, I would look better, right? So this is the thing. I'm gonna have to really cut into more body fat this week so that next weekend when I see these pictures, it's gonna be more of a substantial look, right? So don't get discouraged if you're going from an off-season setting into a dieting phase. The first couple weeks, you're gonna look worse, and then you're gonna start to progressively look a lot better, okay? So that's why I think my pictures didn't look as good. I know I'm achieving fat loss because the scale is progressing downwards. I feel that my body is depleted. I'm seeing lines in certain body parts, and I can feel generally like circumference of my waist and stuff is getting a little bit tighter. So there's lots of signs to that. But that's why I thought the pictures didn't look that great this morning. And you know what? By the time next week comes and I take those pictures next week, I'm going to do things with the diet, which I'm going to show you guys, where I'm going to get a lot more fat loss, and you're going to be able to see it. It doesn't matter if I'm going to be flat anymore, you're still going to see the fat loss. Diet changes today, and what that is we're going to drop 25 grams of carbs and we're going to drop 15 grams of fat, as well as simplify the diet. I'm taking out the English muffins, I'm taking out the tortilla, which also had like almost 10 grams of fat in it, keeping it super simple. And another reason why this is good is you really can see how certain foods affect your body. And if something's giving you trouble, it's very easy to figure out what that is right away. If you're this person that's, you know, trying to eat so many different food sources in a day, and then the next day you're eating completely different foods, and then the next day it's different foods, and you're just rolling on like that. If you start to have a digestive issue, it's really hard to pinpoint what the issue is when you're having all these different kinds of foods going on, right? And I think the progress is going to be a lot better when the foods are simpler and they're more consistent, because it's just very easy, like I said, to see how these certain foods are having an effect on your body, right? So that's why I like to keep it simple, and those are the dieting changes I'm gonna make this week. So I had mentioned earlier in the video that earlier in this week I was feeling really fatigued. That's why I had that 500 carb day. And I think that was more due to not manipulating my training the way I should have going into a diet like this. I was still training like I was in an off season and eating in a surplus of calories, and I think I accumulated a lot of fatigue doing too many sets to failure, and just basically training too hard going into a dieting phase like this, not having the recovery ability that I normally have to recover from that many sets. So I think that I did just accumulate a lot of fatigue, and that's why also I was feeling pretty beat up in my body, and my energy levels were off and things like that. So I started to realize that, and I started to pull back on training a little bit. So that's definitely helped, and I think that's going to help moving forward, not pushing my body past its recovery abilities, and then making sure I am recovered every time I go into train. That's going to have a better effect visually on my body as well. I won't be retaining as much water in the legs and around the muscles and around the body in general.